I assure the couple, I'm going to look after you. The last thing you need to worry about is the photography. I just want you to have a really great day.
Welcome to the Wedding Celebrant Show with me, Lisa Flant, an independent wedding celebrant living and working in the beautiful county of Cornwall. On the show, I'll be sharing insights, tips and a confession or two, as well as chatting to some amazing wedding professionals along the way. So if you're planning a wedding, or if you're a professional wedding celebrant, or perhaps you're just interested in some behind-the-scenes gossip, then this is the podcast for you. Hello and welcome to episode 7 with me, Lisa Flant, independent owner and lead celebrant of Celebrant in Cornwall. And thank you for joining us. For this show, I am so happy to be joined by our good friend and professional wedding photographer, Andy Lawson, who you might know as the face and the talent behind You Got the Love. Now, we first worked with Andy back in 2021, shortly after the COVID lockdowns, and it was at a wonderful woodland glamping wedding in Devon. And since then, we've found ourselves working together at least once or twice a year, which we always love, especially as Andy is such an amazing advocate for celebrant-led ceremonies. So it's time to stop talking and give a big warm welcome to Andy. Yay!
Yay! Hi, Elisa. How you doing?
Hey, lovely. Thank you so much for joining us right in the middle of wedding season.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation. It's lovely to be here, and we're going to be working together in about 5 or 6 weeks, I think. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, me too, because it's always a dream team scenario working with you.
It's always a pleasure, yes.
So we're so happy you can be with us today, and we're going to chat about lots of things relating to wedding photography. But first, I'd really love you to share with us something about your background, because I know you haven't always been a wedding photographer, have you?
I've done lots of different things. Many years ago, I worked in a designer clothes shop called Cody in Plymouth. So I'm always good with helping the chaps with their ties. So I know you'd be surprised at how often that skill comes to the fore.
I get asked that a lot.
Yeah. If I'm going to that was early 90s. If I fast forward to 1995, my father passed away, which I kind of think of as my twisted gift, because it was something that made me realign my life. I went back to art college, went to London, studied art, came away with a first class honours, graduated in the year 2000. And then I carried on with an art practice, but I got a job working as a learning mentor in a primary school, which was amazing in East London. And from mentoring children, I did another sidestep and mentored adults at the university that I studied at. I then sidestepped into teaching. And the last 15 years, I think leading up to about 2017, I was a senior lecturer at London Metropolitan University, where I supported students a couple of days a week, and I taught on a number of different courses. I taught on drawing, fine art, and the last 3 years, I taught on the BA photography, teaching students how to make photo books. And all of those skills, I think, perhaps kind of melt together to make me well equipped to be a wedding photographer. So that kind of brings us to the present day, really. Yeah.
Amazing. But something you didn't mention there is that I do know you are also a visual artist as well, aren't you?
I am, yeah. I graduated in the year 2000 and have been making art since then. I have an art studio in St Mirren, and I kind of joke that being a wedding photographer pays for me to be a penniless artist. But actually, it's not that much. There's plenty of truth in that. But it's a lovely balance to be making artwork alongside being a wedding photographer. And those two things just kind of keep me ticking, I suppose. Yes.
Wonderful. So tell us a bit more about how you got into wedding photography.
I think, like many wedding photographers, I was asked to do a wedding by some friends. some lovely friends, Ali and Dan, asked me to shoot their wedding in 2013. I guess to contextualize that, I bought a digital camera in 2003. So they knew that I knew my way around a camera. My artwork, much of that has been photography. Dan, the guy who asked me to do it, had studied BA photography at Bournemouth. So it was quite a privilege to be asked by somebody, who's visually literate.
Yes, for sure.
To do their wedding. And it just seemed to, I was going to say it just seemed to click. Excuse the pun. But yeah, no, it did. And I've got some of those photos from that wedding are still up on my website and they still hold up today. And it just seemed that I just seemed to be good at it. Yes. And I did a few more weddings, and then I think in 2017, I left the university and left teaching and became a full-time wedding photographer, albeit making art sort of in the background. And since then, You Got the Love has been going, sort of fully self-employed since 2017. So yes, that's a bit of my background.
That seems like a really good moment to ask you about your business name, You Got the Love. Tell us about it. It's so unusual.
Well, I guess around that sort of time, around 2017, I wanted to separate my Andy Lawson as an artist from my wedding. I didn't want to be Andy Lawson, wedding photographer. Andy Lawson is the artist. And I've always loved You Got the Love. The Candy Staten song is a great song. So I Googled You Got the Love with a YOU as the website domain, and it was $2,000 for that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not paying that. And then I Googled You Got the Love with it, just spelt with a U, and it was free, and it cost me $20. And the Instagram was free, available, and so was Facebook available. So that was the branding decision. And yeah, and it's nice that it connects with one of my favorite songs, and it just seems to work for the weddings, which is great.
It does. It's super memorable. I love recommending you. I always say your name as well, but yeah, You Got the Love.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about your photography. Now, thinking weddings, is there a style that you are particularly well known for, would you say?
That's a good question. I think that primarily I like to capture like honest emotions on the day, I suppose. I do some couple time photos, and I think every wedding wants some sort of group photos of family, because it's rare that people get together in such big groups. Mm-hmm. So that's lovely. But I try and make that kind of fuss free. I think that I'm quietly busy. I kind of, if that's not an oxymoron, I like hide in plain sight. And I just try to sort of be as observant as I can. So it's a kind of reportage documentary style photography, where I'm just kind of like casting out my net, if you like, and just trying to sort of find interesting things and honest and beautiful moments throughout the day, and that's primarily, I think, over and above everything else, what people know me for is those kind of like sort of honest, candid moments. Yes.
And when you say reportage and documentary, I remember when we got married like 26 years ago, and we had a lovely photographer friend shoot our wedding. We called it Fly on the Wall in that day. So is it the same kind of thing?
Exactly the same thing, yes. So, yeah, it's just me trying to be in the background. Yeah. I think one of the things that I do at a wedding, and I'm not sure every wedding photographer does it, but I do introduce myself to a lot of people, so they get used to knowing who I am and seeing me around, Yeah. And that I think sort of aids to that kind of like hiding in plain sight. They know who I am, but they don't focus on me; they focus on the couple, So yes, I do try and be as discreet as possible. I shoot with a very quiet shutter, and I tiptoe around, and yeah, and just try and be as sensitive as well as I can. So yes, I am a fly on the wall there.
Definitely. And do you think there are any particular styles or trends at the moment that couples are embracing or even asking you about for their wedding days?
I think there's 2 points to that question. things have changed slightly the last couple of years. I think there's a more emphasis on editorial, kind of punchy wedding photographs, perhaps. There are plenty of blurred images in people's feed, people using flash a lot more to give it that kind of fashion-esque vibe. But I think that primarily when people look at my website and they look at my Instagram feed, it doesn't matter whether it's with a flash or whether it's blurry or whether it's whatever it is. It's the actual photograph of the people, the people and those those candid moments. I'm a super busy photographer. Although I'm quiet, I take about 3,000 photos on the day.
Wow.
Which I try and get down to about 600 or 700 for the couples. But I'm always alert and always trying to just see things as they unfold.
Let's have a little think back over the years. So I bet, a bit like us, you have those particular memories that spring to mind of couples you've worked with. So can you think of any either weddings or couples or just those magic moments that spring to mind?
I think most recently there's a photograph of one of the brides called Steph and her sister. I think that was Eastall Farm last year. And it was on a dance floor and they're just holding one another, touching noses. And you take a quick photo like that and you don't really think anything of it at the time. And then you come back and you just see it as just this kind of like sort of magical moment. I've worked with so many couples. It's difficult to, it sounds like a cliche, but they are all lovely. I think recently there was one wedding, Morgan and Cody's here in Cornwall, and I've never cried so much at a wedding. Yeah, Cody's 6'2". He was bawling his eyes out most of the time. And then the maid of honor, Jess, and the sister of the bride, Molly, started giving a speech in the village hall here at St. Mirren. And they started crying, and there was just so many tears. I don't know how I managed to take photos, to be honest. That was a tear-a-thon. That really was. So that was memorable for that. It was a very beautiful wedding. But they're all the weddings are very different, and I love being involved with them all. To be fair.
We often talk about this, Andy, because when I meet you at a wedding, I'm going to be there an hour tops. And I know you have a really, really long day ahead of you. But is there a part of the day that you particularly look forward to capturing?
There are 2 points.
Yeah, go for it.
First, I just like to get there. I like to get there and start photograph with all my kit. It doesn't matter how many weddings you shoot. I did a wedding on Saturday and I've stopped on the moors going, did I? Oh, no, I've packed it all. I've done it all. So I like to get my feet under the table. I know that's not the answer to your question.
Yep.
The answer to your question is that I guess my favorite part of the day, I mean, there are some key shots, the first kiss, confetti, those are great. And I love the ceremony and those things. But I think the best part of the day is the dance floor. And I think for the couple, I think it's a time when they can kick back, when the formalities of the day have been done. I know that most of the work has been done and it's in the bag and I've ticked all the boxes that I need to tick, and I can kind of like kick back a bit. And I think everybody's just that little bit more relaxed. And I like a dance as well. So it's kind of a nice way of expending some energy and getting amongst it on a dance floor and snapping away. It's an odd one, just to expand on that, but I probably take about 2,500 photos during the day. And then I probably take about 500, 1,000 on the dance floor in those 2 hours because I shoot quite liberally. But it's magic. And I do think that people are more relaxed then. So that's really lovely. Yeah, that's my favorite part.
I think that actually really comes across in your photography as well, because when I see you start to upload your weddings and your coverage and perhaps your 10 favourite shots, the ones that always jump out to me are the dance floor and the party and the fun you clearly have capturing those shots.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I do. I do enjoy that part, yes.
Awesome. So you will know that we are all about authentic moments as celebrants. Can you tell me a bit how you connect with your couples to make sure that your photographs really reflect their personalities and their relationship?
Oh, that's a good question. It's horses for courses. Some couples will need a pre-wedding shoot and a couple of Zoom calls. They'll need that kind of contact to get to know me. And there are other couples who just book me straight off without any communication. They just see what I do and they just book me and I turn up. And I think that primarily one of the things that I like to think that I'm good at is putting people at ease.
Yes.
And I think that probably comes across with the photos, is just making people feel relaxed. Prior to a wedding shoot, usually a month or so before, we just make sure that we've got an itinerary so that we know where we're going to be and what we're doing. And I think that if the couple have that, they know that I've got that itinerary. I assure them that I'm going to look after you. The last thing you need to worry about is the photography. I just want you to have a really great day. That's it. I'll take care of those other things. So I think that once you can get that assurance and once you arrive and you meet people and hopefully they see that you're a nice guy and you start clicking away. And I think it just helps people relax. I think that sometimes under my own steam, I can get myself into quite a flat, but actually on the day around a wedding, I can be that kind of like sort of voice of calmness and just really sort of help people navigate the day and sort of enjoy it to the max.
Perfect. Yes, you do remind me, I think as professionals, we turn out and everyone thinks we know exactly what we're doing and we're calm and all the rest of it. But actually, we've all got butterflies. We want it to be perfect for our couples.
Absolutely. I get nervous before every wedding. And sometimes that'll hit me on a Friday. Sometimes like Saturday, it will hit me 20 minutes before actually arriving. I think, and I don't know what it's like with you, but once I arrive and I start introducing myself to people, and once it gets going, then I'm fine. But I also think, and I say this to the couples as well, is that, we are human and those butterflies are really precious. They're lovely things to have because they remind us that we're human. We're not robots and that we care about it. We care that we want it to be a great day. And as many bride and groom will testify as well, that's how they feel too. I think it's quite natural.
Okay. Now, I'm going to try and put you on the spot a little here because I know it's something that everybody probably wants to know. Has anything ever gone wrong when you've been shooting a wedding?
I'm not going to confess to that.
Oh, Andy, no, come on.
No,
Let me give you another little prompt.
Yeah.
So I was at a wedding on Saturday and I was chatting to the coordinator and we were talking about all the funny things that happen that we write down and we're going to put into a book one day. We've decided to collaborate on this book and I would love to get her on the podcast as well. Has that ever crossed your mind to think about those funny little things and commit them to paper or your computer or your memory?
Well, I guess the answer to that is no. Although I do think that a kind of, there's definitely material there to make some kind of soap, to some kind of drama of weddings in themselves and behind the scenes, especially with different, vendors and suppliers and venues and so on. But I guess the aspect of kind of memory is really something that the photographs do. So I'm quite happy that the photographs tell the story and leave it with that.
That was a very considered response, Andy. Okay, so let's reflect on your journey. What advice would you give to couples planning their weddings to ensure that they get the very best out of their photography experience?
Yeah, okay. I think that couples need to be able to relax and feel at ease. That's one thing. So make sure that you've got your itinerary together. Meet with your photographer prior to if you need to. But I think that the key is, especially with reportage and documentary photography, is that it's not prescriptive and that you go with the flow. You've seen what your photographer can do and you let them just be, they will look after you. I will look after you. And we go with the flow. You just get on and enjoy the day. And if you need some direction, I'll give it to you. But otherwise, just crack on and have fun.
Yeah. And trust your suppliers, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I see this all the time. You have to have faith in your suppliers. They're professionals. They know what they're doing. They've got your back. And that's you all over, isn't it?
Yeah.
And finally, Andy, what is it you love most about the wedding business?
Oh, there's lots of things. I think that you arrive at a wedding and it's a day just full of love. It's two people who are making an intention to be together forever. And that is a beautiful thing. You've got your loved ones, your besties, your family with them. It is a super special day. I do about 20 weddings a year. And it's such a wonderful level. It's lovely to be with people celebrating their togetherness, and I also get to meet lots of people and have a chat with people. I spend a lot of time in my art studio, kind of quite recluseful. And is recluseful a word? It is now.
It is now.
And it's just it's a beautiful day, and it's a lovely thing to be involved with.
Yeah, it's super special and a great privilege, I think, isn't it?
It is, very much so. Yeah, it is.
So, Andy, we can't wait to work with you next month. It's Sam and Faye's big day. So that's the next time we will connect. Woo, can't wait. But before you go, are you up for our usual quickfire questions that we ask everyone? Amazing. Okay, number 1. Andy, tell us, what's the craziest thing you've ever done?
Oh, gosh, there are a few of which I'm not going to say. But when I was 2 years old, I left home and I proceeded to walk to my gran's, which was 2 miles away. I'd crossed Penrose Road, which used to be the major road from Plymouth to Cornwall, they're going on to the Tamar Bridge. So yeah, I'd gone on this little journey to my gran's because I wanted some sweets. They had the panda cars out looking for me, and yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I did the same thing when I was 2. I left home.
Really?
But I didn't get as far as you. I just got next door. Okay, do you have any claims to fame?
Well, I guess my brother has his 15 minutes of fame with writing a song called Wasn't Expecting That, which won an Ivor Novello Award. That was great.
Wow.
Personally, I've had dinner with Ed Sheeran and Anne-Marie when Jamie was signed with Ed and went on tour with him in 2018. So, yeah, I guess that's a claim to fame, isn't it?
Yeah, there's some cool claims there. You should be proud.
Yes.
Okay, easy question here. Are you a dog person or are you a cat person?
I have neither, but I'm both. I wouldn't choose between the two.
Now, if you could have any superhero power, what would it be?
I've got a really silly one. Okay, so you know those people that invade your personal space with music, and it's either, sort of pull up with their car and it's just blaring out, or you're on the tube in London and they haven't got headphones on. It's just super loud, and I'm quite noise sensitive. So when I hear people like that, my superpower would be that music changes to the Birdie song. You won't get many people saying that, I don't think.
Okay, right. Another interesting question, because I'm not quite sure of the answer, and I like to forecast the answer sometimes. Could you tell me if you consider yourself to be an extrovert or an introvert?
Oh, God, I'm going to sound like I'm sitting on the fence, but I honestly think that I'm both of those as well. Can you be both of those?
Well, I've heard people describe themselves as an extroverted introvert or an introverted extrovert. But in the wedding industry, you do have to be quite outgoing.
Yeah, I think saying both surely is it fits.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll let you have that. Tell me 3 things on your bucket list.
Fly fishing in, I'd love to go to Montana with my brothers. That would be super special, I think. I wouldn't mind a really successful major art show would be nice. And I can't think of it, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Well, that just makes you a very happy soul,
Yeah,
I think.
I think so. Yes.
In that vein, what is the one thing that instantly makes your day better?
Well, wedding bookings always. I think going for a walk. It's absolute tonic. It doesn't matter what. I think going for a walk is one of the best things you can do for your mental health. I try and get and walk every single day, even if it's, sort of on the farm, up and down the lane. I like to try and get to the coast most days. I think sacrilege if I don't get there at least two or three times a week. And being outside, having a walk is always a good thing.
I'm with you there, for sure. Tell me, where's your favourite place in Cornwall?
Harlyn Bay.
Harlyn.
Yeah, it's a lovely golden sanded beach. It's a pretty safe beach as well, as opposed to Constantine and Boobies. It doesn't have the rip tides that
true,
has.
yes.
It's just, I love Harlyn Bay.
Right, we're nearly there, my love. What are you most proud of?
Oh, gosh. I'm really proud of You Got the Love. It's a lovely business. It's a lovely brand. Proud of who I've become with the business and as an artist, and proud of my brothers and my family. Yeah.
That's lovely to hear. And your last question. Describe your perfect day off to me.
It would be a sunny day. It would be Harlyn Bay. It might feature a quick early morning fishing session with my brother Al, and then maybe the rest of the family on the beach, some hit and run cricket perhaps. Some nice food, a swim where you go into the sea and it's not absolutely ice cream head freezing, and you get out and it's still warm, it's not blowing a hoolie, and you get out and it's hot. You do get a few of those days in Cornwall at Harlyn. And then maybe in the evening, a pool tournament with my two brothers. That would probably be that would be a perfect day. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Andy. I'm so glad we had the chance to chat. I wish you all the best with the rest of the season. And folks, if you are looking for an amazing photographer, please do look Andy up. We're going to put links to his website and social media online, because we think he really is one of the best.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much. And I look forward to us working together real soon. So thank you so much for this opportunity to be on the podcast. It's amazing. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you, Andy, and bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Confessions of a Registrar.
On to this episode's confession. Now, of course, I'm going back to the time when I was a deputy registrar and a ceremony officer at my local authority, and I saw a lot of weddings which didn't go exactly to plan. Today, I'm thinking back to when we used to take marriage registers to ceremonies. In recent years, those registers have been replaced by a single piece of paperwork. So, very sadly, that lovely tradition of writing in the central register, it is no more. But I digress. Back in those days, during the wedding ceremony, the deputy registrar would be responsible for completing all of the register with the couple's details, so names, ages, addresses, occupations, and much more. Then the couple would sign it, their witnesses would sign it, and then the registrar. But you couldn't write in the register in advance of the ceremony, so you couldn't take your time to write beautifully and get it absolutely right. Oh no. You had to wait until the actual moment in the ceremony when both parties had said, "I do." And this was because you had to be 100% sure they were actually married before you wrote a single word and potentially spoil the register. And then you just had minutes to quickly complete all of the details, and it had to be really quick because the very next bit after saying "I do" was the signing of the register. Oh my gosh, the pressure. Which meant, of course, sometimes mistakes happened. I clearly remember a bride insisting on signing with her married name instead of her maiden name. And so we had to stop the wedding for a good 20 minutes while we sought advice from the General Register Office about what to do next. And I do recall quite a few cock-ups and wobbly signatures by folk not used to our leaky fountain pens. But the other thing about the marriage registers was that you had to guard them with your life. So pre-ceremony, you'd take this big, unwieldy register everywhere you went. In and out of hotel bedrooms, take the register with you. Out to wedding cars to meet the bride or groom, take the register with you. Need a wee? Yep, take that irreplaceable register into the toilets with you. So goodness knows how, at one ceremony we were all set up and ready to go. The bride was just about to walk down the aisle and I realised I'd left the register in the car. Cue a very speedy jog across the golf course back to the car park to locate the pesky item and an even speedier jog back. Coming up next time on the Wedding Celebrant Show, we are going to be chatting with a wedding celebrant from Down Under, which means not only do they create beautifully personalised ceremonies, just like we do here in the UK, but they also get to perform the legal part. Should be brilliant. Bye for now. That wraps it up for this episode. Thanks so much for listening to the Wedding Celebrant Show, brought to you by the team at Celebrant in Cornwall.